Chef Guti Gusso is an international chef, food writer, and TV persona who has been touring the world and participating in the most international important TV shows. In 2013, Chef Guti Gusso went to Vietnam to share about Israeli gastronomy, which attracted great attention from the public and media. This time coming to Vietnam, Guti Gusso brings along the typical ingredients for making food in Israel and show how to use those ingredients which are used to make traditional dishes of Israel for Vietnamese people.
Greetings from Trang Vietnam on VTC10 Net Việt. Guti Gusso is an international chef and a journalist from Israel. This time coming to Vietnam, she is introducing to the Vietnamese people the ingredients that make Israel a food nation. So on this occasion, we are very happy to welcome her to join our program today. Thank you, Guti Gusso, for joining our program today. This is the second time you coming to Vietnam after the first time in 2013 when Vietnam and Israel celebrate the 20th anniversary of diplomatic relations. I'm wondering how you're feeling this time coming back.
First of all, the first time I fell in love. The second I hit the land, and especially when I came to the north, I fell in love with Vietnam, I fell in love with Vietnamese people, and I fell in love, totally in love with Vietnamese food. And after that, it was such a short taste. I started cooking Vietnamese food at home. I was very curious to learn more. And when I had another opportunity to come here, I just grabbed it with my hands. I said, I must be here. I feel so honored to cook Israeli food and to meet local people, and I feel like this is such a good connection between the countries, really.
What is your expectation for this trip coming to Vietnam, and what are you going to do during this time coming back?
I'm bringing, last time I was here I introduced Israeli food. This time I'm introducing Israeli ingredients, Israeli products. I really believe in those products because I use them all the time. I know them so well. They're like my mother tongue. It is such a basic tool in my life, not just in my kitchen. Such a basic way of communication, my ingredients, that coming here and bringing this with me is like bringing a piece of home with me and introducing it. And it makes me a little fragile because I'm showing something that I feel is very personal and intimate about me. These are the ingredients I'm using. I really want people to love it. I really want people to like it. I think there are all the reasons to like it because it's so healthy and it's so good and it's such high quality products, but it depends on taste, you know. It depends on if how you feel it in your mouth, if it's good or if you like it. I'm curious to find out.
Can you tell us more about the ingredients that make the flavor of Israel?
For me, to travel with ingredient is more than just cooking. For example, if a painter travels with his brush, or a violin player travels with his violin, the ingredients of Israel are my basic tools. So I always travel with tahini. Tahini is 100% sesame paste. It's the most basic condiment of Israel. You find it on every table, on every meal, every time of the day. I mean, we have tahini for breakfast, we have tahini in the sandwich for school, you get tahini for lunch, you have it at dinner. It's like ketchup, but tahini, and it's so much healthier because it's 100% sesame. Olive oil industry is very advanced in Israel. This is a traditional oil. Olive oil is very traditional. It has to be cold pressed. You have to be very gentle the way you make it. But it became very advanced on the other hand. You have all kinds of varieties, all kinds of different olives, and I know the kind of olives that I like to use their oil. I don't use all kinds of olive oil. I like this specific olive oil from Barnea or from Nebali, different kinds of Israeli oils that I love. So I always take with me tahini, olive oil, and sometimes I bring chili pepper because I know its spiciness, so I can control it, and salt. Israeli salt, I think it's one of the best. It comes from the Dead Sea. It's mined straight from the Dead Sea. It's very moist and it's not very salty. So when you learn how to use it, it's so good. It's difficult for me to use other kinds of salt. That you can use all these ingredients in other cuisines as well.
With an aim to introduce such special delicacies to Vietnamese customers, Ambassador of Israel Gastronomy, with the support of economic and trade missions under Embassy of Israel in Vietnam, brought to Vietnam the special flavors of her country. In these events, renowned chef Guti Rousseau showed the variety of Israeli food, ingredients and cooking techniques, particularly the pita bread, a typical dish of the Israeli people. The guests were also invited to a cocktail food tasting section and an exhibition of Israeli cuisine products.
Đồ ăn của rất là nhiều nơi thì cũng có được những cái đặc trưng riêng của nó. Tuy nhiên là cái đồ của Israel này ấy, thì người ta thiên về những cái đồ ngũ cốc rồi là hạt rồi là các cái hương vị tự nhiên nhiều hơn là thay vì sử dụng màu mè hay là chế biến cầu kỳ.
I think she did an amazing job. If you can see it in the session, she was very interactive, and also she chose something. You know, the Israeli food is very different than Vietnamese food, so to make it go together, it's a challenge. But I think she dealt with the challenge very well. She took the basic Israeli bread we call pita, and she made the whole process together with the people that they understand how it's work and how good it is. It's fresh, tasty, easy to make at home.
In the first visit to Vietnam, Guti and her friends visited Thanh Trì village to learn about the traditional cuisine Vietnam. Here, the local women have instructed her how to make bánh cuốn, or rolled rice cake, a famous dish of Thanh Trì. Instead of observing, Guti engaged herself in the process of pounding rice and baking.
It looks so easy, and when you try it, in 2 seconds, I felt that my muscles are getting getting weak and almost painful. But I like that pain. It's a pain to make food. I like that.
Not only tasting the hot dishes with her hands, Guti also visited the local markets. Home Markets in Hai Bà Trưng District, Hanoi, was the first market that Guti visited when she came to Vietnam. Guti has the opportunity to come here to visit and learn more about the culinary culture of Vietnam. Also in this place, she saw firsthand the ingredients to make fresh dishes such as shrimp, crabs, frogs, etc. These are extremely interesting experiences that she has never experienced in Israel.
The food that you introduced to the Vietnamese people this time is the street food. So compare with the street food in Vietnam, what do you have to say?
First of all, in both countries, street food is very lively. I mean, you see many in Vietnam. I see even more than in Israel. In every corner, you see someone selling some kind of food. A woman sitting on the floor making waffles, right, on coals. It's so colorful and so tempting. In Israel, it's in stores, but you see there are all kinds of street foods that you find in Israel. Many of them are served in pita bread like we made here today. But what I think is common is use of a lot of fresh ingredients. It's not in both countries. Unlike some street food in America, for example, it's not industrial. It's not like fast food. It's not like junk food. The food is good. It's not junk food. It's street food and it's fast, but it's not junk. And I think this is very common in Israel and in Vietnam. Food is good.
After 2 times coming to Vietnam and different trips, traveling to many different places in Vietnam, what is your impression on the food culture of Vietnam in general?
It is absolutely amazing, really. And I've traveled all over the world. There aren't many places that I fell in love with the food as much as I did here. I think it is a symbol of intelligence and elegance. And it's something very difficult to find in other places. It's an intelligent cooking, and it has a lot of, it's beautiful and it's elegant. Nothing is overwhelming, nothing is too, you don't add too many things. It's just the right amount of everything, perfect balance, a lot of fresh greens. It's really, really beautiful food.
Vietnam has a variety of ingredients to make a very delicious food. Do you have any intention to combine Vietnamese ingredients with the cooking style from Israel and introduce to more and more people?
Since there are so many delicate and smart techniques that the Vietnamese use, I took a Vietnamese cooking class, and I learned a lot about cooking, ways of cooking that are so smart that I can use it in my kitchen. And I think this is the best way to cook. You learn a little bit from everyone. So, for example, the last holiday, I published on the newspaper a recipe, and I called it a Polish Vietnamese soup, Polish Vietnamese chicken soup, because everyone is making the Eastern European chicken soup for the holiday, and I added the Vietnamese twist because it was so smart, and it came out even better than the soup everyone is making. So this was really good.
After this time coming to Vietnam, do you have any intention to come back to Vietnam to introduce the Israeli flavors to the Vietnamese people, or introduce Vietnamese ingredients and food to the international friends in Israel?
Vietnamese food in Israel is becoming highly popular. I mean, there were 3 restaurants open just in the last 2-3 years. 3 Vietnamese restaurants open upscale, super expensive restaurants, very trendy, like posh crowd. Everyone is dressed nice, girls on high heels. Really high-end Vietnamese restaurants. One is called Hanoi, one is called Thai Zoo, which is more Southern Asian, mostly Vietnamese food. And now a new one has just opened, all really interesting. So yes, I think coming back and bringing some Vietnamese culinary stories is great, and I will do it for sure. But I'm also curious to see how will the crowd react to the Israeli flavors. And obviously, if there's an opportunity, if I can consult, if I can help bring Israeli flavors to Vietnam, I would be delighted. I would be so happy and proud.
Once again, thank you, Guti Guso, for joining our program today. Hopefully, in the future, you have a lot of chances to come back to Vietnam to introduce the Israeli flavor to the Vietnamese people and have a taste of Vietnamese cuisine.
Thank you.
That's all we have for today's program. For comment and feedback, don't hesitate to write to us at sangvietnam@netvietttv.net. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.